client at hand here, Roman Reigns, unquestionably has been the type of guy who has been ridiculed for some of the things that he has done in the past, no question. Now, he's had some promos that were not delivered to the greatest standard of all, but he has improved immensely over the course of time, and because of the fact that he's improved immensely over the course of time, Roman Reigns does not deserve to receive this same response that he once received, regardless of the fact that the promo may not have been up to par with some of the other things that he had maybe once said or done in months prior. This is a different time and a different place for Roman Reigns and the character that he portrays. More importantly than that, we're in Chicago, Illinois, where the people are a little bit smart. And when you have a bunch of people who are a little bit smart, they oftentimes like to give a hard time to those who they aren't on the best terms with, as they weren't at the beginning of the year. Despite that fact, things have definitely gotten a lot better for Roman Reigns, and I think that anybody could agree that his character is in a better position right now, that the feud he's been in with Bray Wyatt, you may not have been the most amazing feud, but the question could be posed, what exactly is the greatest feud right now? It's still been better. He's been in a better position and a better place, and he held his own in moments that looked like disgraceful moments. It looked like things were going to go very poorly for Roman, but yet he still was able to respond to the what chants. He was still able to respond to the fact that they were chanting boring. And yes, maybe the content wasn't the brightest, it wasn't the best, but that reaction is still unwarranted because of the fact that this man has shown time and time again that he is better and better.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my homegirl Sasha Banks has this phrase that she uses, and it goes like this: you know what's true. But if you don't know what's true, allow me to tell you these few facts about me. 1, I am a card-carrying Roman Reigns mark. That is not a figurative statement. Literally, I am a card-carrying Roman Reigns mark. Do you guys see that? Bam, right there. And if you believe that this is bullshit, I want to let you know that this is the real deal. You want to know how it's the real deal? It literally says the real deal. And as you can see, it is italicized. It is in bold. It is in all caps. It is underlined. And it is flanked by 2 asterisks. That is official as fuck right there.
But secondly, is it laminated?
He's interrupting me, Your Honor. He didn't even say objection. You should be held in contempt of court.
Is the judge sleeping, or?
Who is the judge here? I don't even know. He's like invisible. But I digress. Number 2. There are many times that you get crowds that are less interested in enjoying the show and more interested in getting themselves over, pushing agendas, trying to become the show, and basically that number one thing there is attempting to push their own agenda. And the thing that I really hate is when people act as if the crowd should determine what you think about wrestling. If it's a situation where it's like, oh, well, the crowd likes this guy. The crowd, he's over with the crowd, so he should be over with you too. You have to like him more. The crowd booed this segment. That means that you have to dislike the segment too. I operate independently of the crowd. We are in situations where sometimes the crowd likes something and I disagree with them. There are some situations where the crowd does something and I agree with them. This is one of those situations where I actually agree with the crowd. And I said all of that to say this. I said I'm a Roman Reigns mark to show you guys that I don't agree with the crowd because I dislike Roman Reigns or I have an agenda against Roman Reigns. I tell you that I don't put up with the bullshit from the crowd to tell you that I don't agree with them because I sympathize with them or anything like that. The reason why I agree with the crowd chanting that Roman Reigns promo was boring was because the promo was boring as fuck. This was an absolutely terrible position to put him in. And as far as I'm concerned, my clients were completely warranted and justified in their actions. And I need you guys to vote not guilty.
I look at it this way. You say that this crowd has a right, these clients of yours, you have a lot more clients than I do. I don't know how you deal with the organization here. But, you say that these people are in the right to be able to say that this is a boring promo, but yet wouldn't they have said that regardless of what Roman Reigns said? I feel as if Roman Reigns even just so much as opens his mouth, they're going to say that he's overrated or that it's boring, and they're going to say what? That's I feel like because of a stereotype that was associated with Roman Reigns earlier this year and in the past with some of the horrific promos that were cut by that client of mine. Despite that, is there a right for them to say that it's boring based around the fact that they didn't like some of the things that he cut in the past? I think they were awfully quick to jump on him with the what chance. I don't even think he had a chance to really get started when they were already whatting him.
And I'll admit, they were completely out of line with the what chance, but here's the thing. I don't think that this was a situation where they were doing this to Roman Reigns because of their past opinions of him or the terrible promos that he's cut in the past. Because if you go back and you watch Monday Night Raw and you see him come out to the ring and you listen to the reaction that he got from the crowd, it was a very positive reaction. And it was a situation where either A, you were cheering Roman Reigns, or B, if you weren't cheering Roman Reigns, you weren't pissed off enough by the guy to actually start booing him, because the reaction was positive. The crowd did not start to turn on Roman Reigns until he grabbed the mic. And that promo was terrible because he pretty much gave us an exposition, a history lesson on 4 months worth of storylines and a promo that should have happened 3 months ago. I remember coming onto this show and saying that I needed to see Roman Reigns come out and communicate the frustration that he must be feeling by the fact that Bray Wyatt has targeted him, that Bray Wyatt has targeted his family, that Bray Wyatt has targeted his goal to be the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and actively put a stop on his progression to achieving that goal. Roman Reigns at some point needed to communicate that frustration. But the problem with the promo that he gave on Monday Night Raw was he couldn't even effectively communicate the frustration and sell the emotion to the people in the audience, because every 2 fucking seconds he was talking about, well, and this happened, and that happened, and 3 weeks ago this happened, and the storyline was about the family, and it was about this, and it was about Bray Wyatt. And I remember when I was 7 years old, I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch, and then I realized I was allergic to peanut butter, and then I had to go to the hospital, and then I had to stay in the hospital, but I met this really nice lady up there, and then, like, we don't need to know all of that shit. We've been watching the show. Please believe us. We see everything that has been going on. And if anyone was to do that, if someone had to go out there and recap a storyline, Roman Reigns wasn't that person. Because going back to what we said earlier in the show, accentuate the strengths, hide the weaknesses. Roman Reigns on the mic is not one of his strengths. He is the type of guy who fits into the role and saying that I'm going to go out there, I'm going to beat your ass, you're going to feel my wrath, point blank period, end of discussion. Doesn't really need to be much more than that.
I think that the important thing to take away is that a lot of the cross-examination that you're looking into may just be looking a little further into it than is needed. If we're just looking at the crowd here and saying that, well, are they allowed to have said that this is boring? And you said it yourself. They didn't turn on him until he picked up the microphone. But how is that fair? Because the second he picks up that microphone, they're already turning on him. And that's been basically the main point that I've been trying to drive home, is that as soon as he grabs that microphone and starts to talk, they're already against him. And I think the what chants are related to this, because the what chants led to the boring chants. It was like one thing, it leads to another here. And Roman Reigns' responses to both the what chants and the boring chants were actually pretty good. I give him a lot of credit, and I think he deserves a lot of credit because of the fact that he was actually able to address those chants and not afraid to just go out there and say, hey, this is real life, people. And yeah, sure, the promo wasn't the most exciting thing of all time. It wasn't. I myself can't say and can't justify that this was Roman Reigns' best mic work or that he's a great talker, and that's not what I'm here to defend, and that's not what I'm here to put out in front of you. What I'm here to put out in front of you is that a smart crowd, is not justified to jump all over Roman Reigns just because of the fact that he was about to pick up a microphone. And yes, he did try to recap a storyline, but yet Paul Heyman recaps storylines, and yet we don't give him anywhere near as much trouble for it. I understand his execution is a whole hell of a lot better. His is over 9,000, and then you have Roman Reigns, which is probably on the other end of that spectrum, if you get where I'm going with this. But still, despite that fact, I think that what they were trying to do is not what actually happened. His execution may have been off, but I think it's just proof that short promos is what's best for Roman Reigns. However, the real gist of this for me is that the crowd is not justified to jump down the throat of Roman Reigns just based on the fact that he was about to pick up a microphone. He did a good job responding to what they did say to him, and I think ran with something that wasn't all that well written down for him anyway. He's not the kind of guy who goes out there and cuts a 5-minute promo. That's just not Roman Reigns, and that's not the strength that he has. And you could even argue that the crowd got too hot on him even back at the Royal Rumble and the way that he won. It was a terrible way that he won. It's similar to how this promo was. It wasn't a great promo, but jumping all over the guy just because it's not what you want or it's not exactly who you think it should be isn't exactly the best thing that can be done. And that wouldn't have happened in a regular town. I think it's fair to say that Chicago is a special type of place where that would happen. But if you put them in another town in the middle of the country, I don't think that happens. I don't think if you put them in like Green Bay, I'm not, again, no offense to the Green Bay crowd. I'm not saying that they're a bad crowd. In fact, they're probably a good crowd, but they're not the type of crowd that is that way. Like Philadelphia was where the Royal Rumble was, correct? And that crowd was very hot, but I think that crowd helped to influence a lot of other people to dislike Roman Reigns from the get-go. And I was a critic of Roman Reigns in the way that he was booked in the beginning of the year, but I can't help but defend him here because of the fact that these people are jumping on him before he even has a chance to get going.
You rest your case?
Yep, that's all there is to it.
I want to pick up off of a few things that you said. You said that Chicago is a very special place, and you talked about the smart fans in Chicago. Here's the thing. I am actually so glad that this promo took place in Chicago for that exact reason, because I think that they needed to jump on Roman Reigns in this promo to send the message to the WWE creative team that the shit that went down in that promo is not acceptable at all. And I put the pieces together. I clearly see what's going down. The reason why Roman Reigns has been so successful up to this point is because he's been out of the main event scene, and whoever was handling him, whoever was handling him in the main event scene, they didn't have their grubby little hands on him telling him what to say and overproducing every damn word that came out of his mouth. But it's very clear because Roman Reigns talked about in that promo on Raw how he wanted to resume his quest for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And it is clear as day. He's going to win that match at Hell in a Cell, and sooner or later he's going to pick back up that quest. So it seems very clear to me that backstage in WWE, there's going to start at some point or another the ascent for Roman Reigns to move back into the main event picture. And with him moving back into the main event picture, it returns the bastardized babyface syndrome, where they think they should just push somebody through a machine and have them coming out on the other side as a carbon copy of someone else, not looking at the strengths of this guy, not looking at the weaknesses of this guy, and attempting to move in different directions. The problem was not Roman Reigns giving an exposition for the story per se, because that happens from time to time. You even mentioned Paul Heyman is the type of guy that goes out there and he gives expositions to stories. But here's the difference between Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns talks. Paul Heyman narrates. He takes you on a journey, and you are actually able to feel the highs and the lows based off of the tone of his voice, the inflection, the way that he says his words, just everything. He takes you on a journey. It's like a roller coaster ride. He takes you to the climax. He takes you down. Paul Heyman tells a story on the mic. Roman Reigns was out there talking, and that was the problem. Roman Reigns, he didn't take you on a journey with him. He didn't allow you to be emotionally invested in the things that he says. And for that reason, I'm glad that that promo happened in Chicago, because if it had happened somewhere else, maybe the people would have left him you know, let him go about his way without booing that shit down like it deserved to be. And hopefully WWE sees the clear message that you need to move in another direction with this guy. What you have been doing with him has been working. He's built up some goodwill with the crowd. I don't see why you would go back on that and attempt to do the same thing that you tried to do before and it didn't work. And the defense rests its case. Now, at this point, I want all of you guys to vote in the chat. Just so you're reminded, who's on trial here is the Chicago Raw crowd. Was it warranted that they chanted boring at Roman Reigns? If you agree, yes, it was warranted, you say not guilty. If you say they were out of line, they were the smart fans just jumping on Roman Reigns because that is what they do. They're basically using all of his past experiences and the things that he's done in WWE to hold it against him and saying, we're not even going to give you a shot. Then you say guilty.